There's a lot going on. That is true.
There was a judge there on Christmas Day. You're thinking, does no one dropping off the babies is like, well, you're working on Christmas Day?
Welcome to Holiday Film Countdown. I'm Jamie Walter, and today we are going to Stanfield, Connecticut.
That's right. This film is Christmas in Connecticut, our 26th ranked holiday film. Hello, I'm Tim Walter. We wrap up the first half of our holiday film countdown with a madcap caper, which may have been the inspiration for Martha Stewart.
Our first guest is Sydney Barrosse. Hello, Sydney. Please
Hi.
let us know what you're drinking and give us a quick thought on Christmas in Connecticut.
Hello. I am drinking Waterloo Sparkling. It's orange vanilla and it's really yummy.
Good.
And I really enjoyed it. I thought great pacing. I thought it was just the right amount of time. I enjoyed the characters. I thought they were really nicely developed. Yeah, I thought it was a very cute movie.
Okay.
All right. And our other guest is Tucker Hazell. Tucker, welcome and tell us what you're drinking and give us a quick thought on the film.
I have a lovely glass of water, and it is in a Grinch cup, which gives it, the special Christmas flavor that we're all looking for.
Absolutely.
I really thought that Christmas in Connecticut was a big surprise for me because it was a much more a screwball comedy, romantic comedy than most Christmas films end up being. And as someone who's seen quite a bit of 40s and 50s comedies, screwball comedies, this is a genre I really, really like. And Barbara Stanwyck brings so much energy, and the ensemble cast I think is balanced really well. I had a great time with it. Lots of silly little gags, pretty much in and out in terms of its pacing. So had a great time with it.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm glad you liked it. All right.
And I totally agree with Tucker. Well, first of all, let me just say I was drinking a poppy, and the cola one is my favorite, just to note. But I feel like the movie just took me back in time, a time that I never knew, but a time that I've heard about, from the smoking to the double entendres.
All right. And sticking on the orange theme, I'm drinking an Orange Blast by Beatbox because Sydney said orange was her favorite. So we had an assortment
Yeah.
here today. And this is another one that I was unfamiliar with going in and kind of crept up the rankings over the months in preparation for this countdown because the feedback was good and I enjoyed watching it last summer, a long time ago. And then I had kind of forgotten it. So I just learned all about it again today.
Well, Christmas in Connecticut was written by Eileen Hamilton. She is a renowned screenwriter, dancer, actress, singer, and costume designer. It was directed by Peter Godfrey. His career included work as a clown, an actor, a director, and a conjurer, which I don't know if I just butchered that word or not. I just learned about that word in case you don't know. It's someone who performs magic tricks, maybe illusionist. He was British, and that's what they used to call them back then. Christmas in Connecticut was released in 1945.
Yeah, Christmas in Connecticut was filmed at Warner Brothers Studios in Burbank slash Hollywood. And Barbara Stanwyck is the lead with Dennis Morgan and Sidney Greenstreet also starring. Betty Davis was originally cast as the lead, but Barbara Stanwyck replaced her.
Okay, so
Hmm.
Sydney, what is your history with Christmas in Connecticut?
First time. I have actually never heard of this movie before, so it was a real delight. It was a really fun surprise. Does it remind me of any other film? Um, I can't say that it does, but Tucker, I think you mentioned that there is slapstick kind of
Screwball.
quality to it, screwball.
Yeah.
Um, which I think in that time period, I think they touched on that a lot. So I think that was kind of fun to put it into a film in this way. So
Okay, and you'd mentioned Burbank earlier. So what did you say about Burbank? About Warner Brothers Studios.
oh yes, Warner Brothers. I was a set decorator in Los Angeles for many years and got to go to the Warner Brothers lot, and they've got a great prop room, by the way, just full of magical things, floors of just every piece of furniture and lamp. And but Tucker was born in Burbank as well.
All
Tucker's
right.
my son.
All right. Well, Tucker, what's your history with Christmas in Connecticut?
It's not a movie I had heard of either, but familiar with a couple of the actors in the movie. Barbara Stanwyck, I've been a fan of for a while. I especially really liked her in the Howard Hawks movie, Ball of Fire, where she's just really, really energetic, and she certainly brings that here. But for me, the movies that it reminded me of and why I was able to enjoy it so much and meet it on its level are other screwball comedies like The Philadelphia Story or The Awful Truth or Bringing Up Baby, His Girl Friday, My Man Godfrey. I love all those movies, and so this fit right in with that.
Okay. I've heard of all of those. I've seen one, but I know they're good.
Yes, and my history, I hadn't heard of it until we started doing the countdown and we watched it. And so today, watching it again is my second time to see it. And I too see some of the screwball humor that's coming, kind of like the Three Stooges almost, not so much the physical of it, but like one thing's happening as you walk through the door and then another door opens. And I think you kept mentioning that
Yeah.
to us. Yeah, it was like they escape the secret being told in just an instant, right?
Right. In the nick of time,
Mhm.
someone interrupts the situation and
Yeah, the
One,
timing
yeah.
was perfect.
yeah, one
One
door
door
opens,
closes.
yeah,
Yes.
the other one
hmm
opens. Correct.
Yeah, my experience is the same as Jamie's. We watched it in preparation.
Hmm.
And again, I remembered it being a screwball, slapstick, not so much physical comedy, but
Right.
just little funny quips along the way and kind of people randomly going where they shouldn't go. Anyway,
It was a little bit racy too, I thought.
yeah,
For
yeah, we'll
its
have to
time.
talk
For
about
its
that when we
time.
get to the parent guide.
Mm.
Wow.
Yes. All right. Well, let's check out the trailer now.
Who said there isn't any Santa Claus? Look what I found in my stocking.
Heaven help a sailor on a Christmas like this. This is the jolliest, merriest Christmas I ever spent.
Nah. It is so romantic. It gives me pimples all over the goose. Yeah.
I'm as free as a bird.
Oh, that's what you think.
Well, I personally love these old trailers because they're so different from the trailers that we're used to today. It doesn't really show much of the movie. Instead, it's more commentary from the actors. This one also had a lot of captions, and one that caught my eye that I was reading was talking about Elizabeth, but it said, he'll show her about men the Navy way. And he's like chasing her around the bed.
Yeah.
I
Leading
thought
into
that
what
was
we were just saying about it being a
a
little bit
little
racier than you expected.
Yes. And the slap on the horse's rump.
so funny, right?
What did you think of the trailer, Tucker?
I thought it was really interesting because it leans into what we would now consider to be super corny editing and super corny line delivery. You get these transitions where it's like a spiral transition, weird wipes and things, and you don't see that in movies anymore, which certainly gives its own flavor. But I do think that it's also, as a modern film viewer, a little bit hard to be sold on that as something you want to go watch because you have no idea what it's actually about. It's generally romance and Christmas, which is what the movie is about ultimately. But I think the plot is so interesting, but so convoluted that it makes sense that they had to kind of find a alternative way to introduce people to the movie, just being like, Barbara Stanwyck, go and see it, you'll have a good time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so magnetic. I think today, though, that some movie trailers are so long and you pretty much know every single thing that's going to happen.
Mhm.
So Tucker's right that it gave you the little bullets, but it was intriguing to where the scenes they chose were so key that you kind of wanted to figure it out because you really didn't know what it was about. So
Yeah, it didn't give it away.
Mm.
didn't give it away.
They were chasing each other around the bedroom the whole trailer. Well, that was only about 45 seconds of
Yes,
the movie.
near the
So
very
it
end.
gives you this
Yeah.
different flavor of what it's going to be. You have no idea what else is going to go on.
Well,
Mm.
it's sex sells, right?
Absolutely, even back then. And
Right.
Yep.
I mean, that's what they did, right?
and what about them each? Were they like poking their head through a wreath talking to the camera?
Mm-hmm. Looked like some sort of overlay.
Yes.
Yeah.
You just would never see that now, where
Mhm.
each of the stars of the film is first person engaging
Yeah.
the fourth wall.
Mm. Mm.
So that was very different. When I see these, I think, why don't you give it a whirl, modern Hollywood? Try one of these trailers, just see what
Sure.
happens. Because we sit in the theater and we watch 6 of them in a row. This one would stand out.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, putting a modern spin on it, that's a really great idea. Doing that same, like you said, the fourth wall kind of thing, but yeah, bringing that back and putting a modern touch to it.
All right, well, let's go inside the numbers. This is our fifth of 8 films from the 40s in our holiday film countdown. Very solid decade. Not the number one, but up there. And so far, all 5 have been some sort of rom-com, at least to some extent. And here's a teaser. It gets more serious with the remaining 3 40s films to come. And we do actually have box office numbers for this one. Not always the case for these old films. It did 3.2 million at the US box office, plus 900,000 internationally. Total box office sales just over 4 million, and it cost 900,000 to make.
Wow.
So that's a net profit of 3 million and change back in 1945.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
And you can also imagine a film produced at this time then probably reran every year on many
Mhm.
TV channels for
Mhm.
many, many years. And so that box office profit is just probably a drop in the bucket in terms of the total revenue brought
yeah.
in by the
Sure,
movie.
residuals, yeah.
It's
And then brought to Laserdisc, VHS, DVD. I'm sure they've been making money on this movie for many, many decades.
They made some on us. All right, in remakes, we have a 1952 radio adaptation, a 1956 television adaptation, and a 1992 movie remake. Get this, starring Diane Cannon, Chris Christopherson, and Tony Curtis, directed by Arnold Schwarzenegger, but apparently not very good at all.
Hmm.
Panned by the critics and just kind of went away. And Christmas in Connecticut, this one we watched, has a score of 3.6 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and we'll all be giving our own reviews and scores later. Anything there catch your eye?
Yeah, it is amazing that after doing the research of this countdown, that we have 8 films from the 40s.
Yeah, and this was made during World War II
Mhm.
because it was released in 1945. And I always hear the stories about everyone collecting metal for the war,
hmm
and yet somehow we had the resources to be making films at the same time.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed as a former set decorator. I liked the visuals of the film. I liked what technology they had back then, like the torpedoes that were shooting in the water in the opening scene, and then they were floating on the raft, and all that's done on the soundstage, Warner Brothers. But I thought that was really fun, and I think from a decorator's point of view, the sets are usually really sparse, like the kitchen, and today there's so much more detail. So that's one thing that I find interesting. And, any like I Love Lucy or any shows like that, it's kind of all the same. It's sparse. You have a thing here, you have a thing here, and it works.
Minimalist. I
Yeah,
don't like you're staging a home to sell it.
exactly. But just enough to where you're there, you feel like you're at their home. But I like seeing how that's transitioned.
So, what about the decorations from your point of view? Like
The
the Christmas, the holiday decorations. I mean, we know in these old movies, it's nothing like we do it up nowadays. It wasn't so commercialized, but we did have like snow and we had the Christmas tree, which was really big, I thought.
It was huge.
It was.
One thing I would say about this film, and there are some even today, like The Holiday, which is one of my favorite movies, but this wasn't really a Christmas movie. They had the wreath in the trailer,
hmm
they had the Christmas tree, you had the snow, but it really didn't revolve around Christmas. They didn't make that many references to it,
Sure.
I
And
thought.
to be honest, it wasn't even particularly clear that it was Christmas Day when it
Exactly.
was. They didn't celebrate or do anything
Nothing.
on Christmas Eve. The presents weren't even opened on
I
Christmas Day. I
know.
saw them
Yeah.
sitting closed by the end of the film, which I believe closes on the evening of Christmas Day or something like that.
They were so distracted.
There's a lot going on. That is true.
There was a judge there on Christmas Day. You're thinking, does no one, dropping off the babies is like, well, you're working on Christmas Day?
The War Factory was.
Oh, the War Factory.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
The war didn't stop for Christmas, I guess.
Though it is interesting that they didn't delve too much into the traditions of Christmas because
Mm,
the film is structured around the idea of this soldier coming to stay with a traditional domestic family and
sure.
celebrate a traditional domestic Christmas. Obviously, things do not go as planned, but they don't even make an attempt to have it be a traditional domestic Christmas. There's not a big dinner being made. There's not a happy morning opening presents and things like that. They kind of totally eschew that for the crazy antics that are going on, which I think worked for my enjoyment. But it is funny that the movie kind of belies its own initial premise in order to focus on all the characters just kind of ribbing one another and going bouncing off the walls.
Well,
That, yeah, that's really true. And they had one Christmas song. The guy played on the piano one Christmas song.
I think that's kind of the irony of it, though, because it's all fake. I mean, she's not
True.
domestic. She doesn't even know how to cook. You know,
Yeah.
they're not even married. They're not a family. Those are not, well, I say those. It was just supposed to be one, but it was two babies. Were not her babies.
Mhm.
It's all a big joke
Farce,
or
yeah,
fake or,
facade.
facade. That's a good word. So I think when you think about it, the way you stated it, it made me think, oh, maybe that was on purpose,
Yeah.
that they're not doing the traditional, because they're not the traditional family,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
though they were supposed to be, you know?
And the makers were trying to be modern. So they were like, well, we've already seen what a traditional Christmas looks like on film before. So why do we need to show it here?
Maybe, yeah.
Or
Well,
they just didn't have time. They were too busy opening and closing doors.
A lot of that.
thematically, it's very interesting that this film centers around a working woman, something that was a lot newer in the 40s, coming out of World War II,
Mm.
and a working woman who is very much trying to make it on her own. She doesn't, well, of course, across the course of the movie, she finds a love interest and becomes much more about the man in her life. But I think it's interesting that they did kind of, with the romantic leads, swap their roles a little bit.
Right.
Barbara Stanwyck is very much the one that is trying to call the shots and survive on her own and doesn't like wants to keep her job. And then you have Jefferson, Dennis Morgan's character, coming in and being very fatherly and loving taking care of babies and things like that. That is a total gender reversal of the time and flipping of stereotypes.
We have a female screenwriter here.
Yeah.
So there's an influence.
Ah,
Well,
yeah.
also, I think at the time, like when most of the men were off at war, the women did have to step up, right, and take care of more than they were used to. And I don't
Sure.
know if that was part of it too, but agreed with Tucker about the role reversal. He knew how to bathe the baby, and she had no idea. I mean, she was clueless of how to even put the baby in the bathtub. She
Or
kept
fold a diaper.
or fold a
Or fold a
diaper,
diaper.
or really even hold the baby. She looked very awkward holding the baby. And as we were watching it, we kept remarking to the fact that she would call the baby it.
hmm
I mean, not very motherly in any way.
So we did have a sleigh.
True.
You had a sleigh.
We had a sleigh.
Was it a Christmas sleigh? It was not a Christmas sleigh.
We
Contextually,
can't tell if it was red.
They
or
didn't
green.
have jingle bells. Yes, you could not.
True.
Black and white
We
here.
couldn't tell the color.
All right, well, let's move into the actors and characters we kind of already have. But we have Barbara Stanwyck playing Elizabeth Lane. She's star of stage, 95 films, a dozen radio shows, plus another 20 TV shows. 4-time Oscar nominee for Best Actress. Known probably best for Double Indemnity, 1944. And she also starred in our number 31 ranked holiday film, Remember the Night.
Hmm.
And I remember from that film that she was known as being the best prepared person on set, always, and never had to do a retake on her lines. And
Sure.
she would save the studio's money and film and time by getting it right the first time, and she tried to demand that from the rest of the cast. And you can see she is truly a take charge individual.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, Tucker, you'd mentioned you knew her well already, right?
Yeah, I've seen a number of movies with her. I mentioned Ball of Fire earlier, which I highly recommend. Very unique movie. But yeah, I've seen in Double Indemnity, Stella Dallas, The Lady Eve, many movies that she's been in, and she certainly fits into the strong female lead screwball comedy role very well. But I do think that she has a sparkle in her eye and like a mischievousness that gives her a very unique energy.
I agree.
Especially in this movie, where, as I think we'll probably all note, she's quite conniving and she's always got a plan up her sleeve that might make the audience a little uncomfortable.
She wants to, though.
Yeah, that she does. I agree with that. And she's just magnetic. Her character just draws you in. I loved her energy and yeah, great role.
Okay. And then next we have Dennis Morgan, plays the war hero Jefferson Jones. He was born Earl Stanley Warner, then went by Richard Stanley before settling on Dennis Morgan. But he has film credits under all three names. He got started in a stage acting troupe, then became a featured singer at the Empire Room in Chicago. He was also a radio announcer for the Green Bay Packers.
Hmm.
And then he went on to gain 60 plus film credits, plus many TV appearances and spots on 20 or so radio productions. So, how do we feel about his portrayal of Jefferson Jones, the Navy hero?
He's a surprisingly backgrounded character because he starts the opening of the movie is alongside him, but he then sort of disappears as we get introduced to Barbara Stanwyck and her gaggle of side characters. Though I do think that when he returns and shows back up in the story, he has a naivete and an innocence and a smile that I think makes you understand why he would immediately be likable to someone. He doesn't seem to have any ulterior motives. He doesn't seem to have too much of a complicated past, even though we've seen that he was in the war. He doesn't appear to have brought any of that trauma or experience with him. He's just kind of a happy-go-lucky all-American guy with a bright, cheery smile. And so I liked his energy, but he was pretty simple. He was certainly the simplest character in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think you did a great job playing this character. I liked the part that it was almost like once he went to the farmhouse, he was too good to be true, from being able to bathe the baby to being able to play the piano and sing a song really well, his charming good looks, and then putting the cow away in the barn. I mean, like, he could do it all.
Yeah,
He
he was
could do it
husband,
all.
he was marriage material.
Totally marriage material.
Absolutely.
I loved that when he went to the farm and the door opened, you just knew they were in love. It happened that fast.
True.
Yeah, they both had a little twinkle in their eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
They did a good
Her
job.
voice lowered,
Yes.
you know, was much softer.
There was nothing subtle about her feelings.
No, and I felt bad for her. I felt bad for her soon to be husband.
John? Is it John? Yeah.
I don't think I felt particularly bad for him. He knew that this was the scenario he was getting himself into, and he also knew that she never was interested in him.
Ugh,
He was doing this to try to curry her favor, I guess, but
yeah.
their relationship I was very confused by, especially in the start of the film. He's some sort of suitor, and he
Mhm.
shows up at her door with the gifts, but there's never an explanation of why they know one another, why he's just able to come into her life, how long. Clearly, he's been trying to get her to marry him for a long time. Why does she keep him around? It's very unclear, but the role that he serves as essentially the comedic straight man to all the other characters who are much wackier, he felt like he was the one with the most ulterior motives. Like, he's like, I want this to go my way and I will do anything to get it, even if that meant putting everyone in this awkward scenario.
And he was willing to accept the fact that she doesn't love him, but she will marry him and maybe grow to love him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I
That's
was like, whoa,
yeah.
okay.
So that's why I didn't feel bad for him.
Right. She was very upfront from the beginning.
She was
She's like, "Are
completely
you
upfront.
still want to do it? I don't love you. You still want to do it?" He's like, "Yeah, and
She,
the
then
thing,
she was like, okay, we'll do it.
yeah, okay then."
Yeah, the only thing that was in it for him to marry this woman was he got that job offer, and you thought, okay, well, finally, there's something that's, that's going to go his way or going to be gifted from this whole farce.
Right.
All right. And then we have Sidney Greenstreet, who plays Alexander Yardley, who is the publishing magnate. And he's a British born gentleman. He started out managing a brewery, but got bored. So he took acting lessons and became a star of the stage for 40 years, all the while declining film roles that were offered to him. So he was a purist. Until he was 61, he decided he would make his movie debut in The Maltese Falcon with Humphrey Bogart in 1941.
Wow.
Where he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He also appeared with Bogart in Casablanca, where he played the prominent role of a crooked club owner named Signor Ferrari, who was a competitor of Rick, who was Humphrey Bogart, who owned Rick's American Cafe, or Rick's Cafe American. So what do we think of Sidney Greenstreet playing Alexander Yardley here? Big personality.
You could probably guess he was a stage actor because he has this big booming voice and he's always throwing his arms wide open to interact with characters, and so he has that magnanimous stage presence where he's just filling up the screen, and obviously that plays very nicely into the role that the character serves of stomping on every conversation. He is a character clearly that is used to getting his way and will just kind of push everyone out of the conversation if necessary to get his way. You can feel that it would be awkward to try to stand up to him because he's just such a big presence.
I completely agree with that. And I thought that one interesting thing you could tell, I didn't know what his background was, but you could see that because of that larger than life and projecting with the voice. I did a play once, and it was so unnatural for me to have to project that and still stay within character without making it this huge thing. But the styles are so different to acting now. They're very clipped. Wasn't a natural thing to me. Seeing movies now,
Hmm.
you need to be much more subtle, and it comes more with your eyes, and you're just supposed to bring it in and emote through. But back then seemed a lot
I
larger
know what
than
you're
life.
saying about like a tight shot on the face and a
Mm-hmm.
little twitch here or there and lower voices. Yeah, he did not need a microphone, and his motives were not ulterior. They were all out in the open. He
Yeah.
wanted to own the
Exterior
world.
motives.
Exterior motives. There we go.
Yeah, I thought like was the perfect person. He kind of almost, especially at the beginning, played a bully when Elizabeth went to go confront him about the situation, and she's trying to talk, and every time she tries to get a word in, he just talks over her, presses her to do what he wants. So again, definitely having his own motive and not accepting anything else but what he wants.
Yeah, he'll let you talk as long as you're saying what he wants to hear. As soon as you start to say something different, he's ready to talk.
And she's like, but, and then that's all she could get in. But, and then he's like, nope, nope,
Well,
Well,
he's the one that ends up creating the conflict. And I think that his personality as someone that won't let other people talk and frankly also doesn't listen is kind of what this movie's really about, is making sure that you understand what other people are saying and, as one of the characters says, shut up and listen and maybe you'll learn something. And his role as the guy that continues to be loud and boisterous and refuse to listen to other people is what creates the energy that everyone else around him follows, of no one really listening to anyone in any particular conversation until the
Yeah.
very end, when they finally explain to each other what's going on, and everyone ends up happy at the end.
Mm.
yeah, it's true. They're all running around like crazy, doing all these shenanigans, trying to keep up this lie, all because of him. I mean, it's for his sake, right?
And then once it's all out in the open, everyone, like Tucker said, just wraps it up happily.
Yep.
Hmm.
He was very distracted by food, I noticed. If he was ready to leave, he had his coat on and his hat. Oh, pancakes? Or
Yeah.
Yes,
go back into the kitchen.
true.
Any minor characters or anyone who overacted, underacted here? Anyone phoning in?
Mm.
Well, I liked Felix's character.
Yeah, he was pretty goofy. He was like a cartoon character.
He was, and I couldn't always understand him. I felt like a few times I turned back to you and said, did he say, with his accent? But it was cute because he played the uncle, Elizabeth's uncle, and he knew what was up. And so he was helping her in the end to distract the judge so that she didn't have to marry, him. And I thought he did a good job playing that role. And then he made those subtle jokes about how she can't cook.
Yeah. What about the housekeeper slash? I thought,
Irish lady.
yes, her accent, I thought that was an interesting choice. She had a complex, she didn't have many scenes, but the scenes she had, she was very demonstrative. She was very, she was angry, or you never saw a scene, or maybe that's the type of person that she was. But I thought that was interesting, and I thought that might have developed into something more.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
very serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
She was very
And
serious.
you saw chemistry between her and Felix, right?
I
And
thought they were gonna hook up.
Mhm.
well, I would imagine that would have been the sequel of this film. And there would have been some kind of a lie behind the whole scenario where Felix and her,
Nora.
are running a restaurant together, or I don't know what, but there would, if only, it never did happen though.
Yeah. Well, that actress name is Una O'Connor, and she is an actress that if you watch a lot of old movies, you continue to see her show up and up and up because she has this totally unique accent and energy, and she's certainly typecast as the cranky, kind of doesn't take crap from anyone, older woman. And just looking at the list of some of the movies she was in, Bride of Frankenstein, Invisible Man, Best Picture winner Cavalcade, The Adventures of Robin Hood, Witness for the Prosecution. So she was really around everywhere, and you can always tell it's her.
Is
when you
that
see
her
in the background.
accent?
That's her exact voice. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, so
I'll move on to the scenes. I like the one where Elizabeth tells Jefferson, have you ever kissed a married woman or no, he says no. And then she goes, no, she answers it for him, right? And says, no, you're not the type, are you? And he goes, I wish I was.
Mhm.
I love that scene.
Y'all have any favorite scenes?
Who was the character that said in the beginning, and I wrote this down because I thought, "Ooh, it's the woman that leads the man astray."
Oh, that was Nora.
Yeah.
Well, when
When she
she
thought
was
they
getting
were going
frustrated.
to
Yeah.
be.
When she kind of fired herself because she thought that they were going to be sleeping together before they were married.
Yes.
And
Yes,
she
yes.
kind of laid it on thick, assuming the worst out of both of them,
That must say something about Nora's past.
perhaps.
Mm,
Ooh,
mm, mm.
just guessing.
Maybe.
Any other scenes?
Well, I thought it was interesting that about the rocking chair. Now, I get it that she had written an article how she was
Yeah.
trying to find this rocking chair, but I didn't quite understand why she was saying that she had so many in the back room. And then when Jefferson showed up for the Christmas stay, we'll call it that, he gifted her with a rocking chair. I didn't quite follow that.
I guess that
Did
was
I miss
something that people did back then. If they
Well,
thought she needed one, they would all send her one and get in her good graces.
right.
They
But
were
it
such
was,
big fans.
but she wasn't really looking for one. It was just for the article, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I got out of it.
Yeah.
Her readers loved her,
They did
and they wanted to send her rocking chairs.
because she wrote that she was looking for one,
Mhm.
for the special one
That her grandma
that her
had.
grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm thematically reading a little bit too much into this, but the rocking chair to me might be something. Again, I don't know if this is too far in, but the chair is a symbol of domesticity, of stability in home, but a rocking chair is an unstable version of that. And that's what her life is, as an unstable domestic person who is rocking back and forth how she feels about being a stay-at-home wife or whatever.
Going really deep in the
That's
weeds.
deep.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it.
I
too.
want to rewatch it
Yeah, I
right
can see
now.
that. I can see it. I see where you're going, and I'm all in for that. I think it's funny how much they're smoking in this 1940s film, even in the hospital. I mean, it starts off, they're in the hospital, and he's the patient, Jefferson, and the other
He's got a cigarette.
guy, and they're the patients, but they're smoking in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Different time.
Definitely
They thought it
different
was a
time.
little dirty, but they didn't think it was unhealthy yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, they didn't know. I know, and
Mhm.
everyone was doing it, and it
Mhm.
was definitely in this film.
All right, well, let's move on to quotable lines. Does anyone have anything they want to repeat?
Oh, it's the woman that leads the man astray.
That's a great one.
Does anyone remember what the term that they used at the beginning was that he had to turn blank on to get what he wanted with the food in the hospital scene?
Oh, Magoo.
Magoo.
Magoo, yeah.
Magoo.
No, it's definitely
Magoo.
Magoo.
I wasn't sure what that meant, and
It's
then
just-
they explained it.
It's just being suave, being charming.
Mhm.
Hey, you use the Magoo. It's just a funny way for them to
Did
say.
you pull the 1945 Urban Dictionary?
Yeah, really, he knows everything. What about the cow?
Yes.
He patted the cow's. What did he say?
Rump.
This has a nice
firm
firm rump, and he was referencing.
Well, no, he wasn't. She read into that.
Because she
Again,
was bent over to pick
Oh,
something
that's right,
up,
yeah.
or I don't know exactly what she's doing, but she was bent over, and he like
Slap.
Yeah.
Yes.
well, because if
Racy.
at first he is complimenting the cow on dark brown eyes, and she says, "Well, no, they're actually gray," because she thinks that he's talking about her. And again, this is the difference between the characters.
Mhm.
She's the one who is reading into it, that is bringing the
Mhm.
energy, the desire for romance, and he is very innocent. He is just a hometown American boy who likes this cow a lot.
That's right.
Mm.
Another one was very similar. After he did Magoo her, the nurse,
Mhm.
he was in his bed and he was telling his buddy, I had to go all the way. And we're all
Oh,
like,
yeah.
oh. And then he goes on to say, yeah, I promised to marry her.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that was all the way.
So,
then.
I don't know what these 1945 people were thinking when they wrote that line, but I know
Double
what we were thinking.
entendres.
Mhm.
Definitely.
A lot of that.
There was one where Elizabeth said, "When you kiss me, please don't talk about plumbing." Remember that? He starts right after talking about plumbing
He was
pipes
just
or
so caught up
something.
in his building
I know.
techniques.
She's like, "Oh,
Why didn't she fall in love with him?
Yeah, I don't
what
know.
is not to love about that?
I don't know.
Every woman's dream.
Every woman's dream. He did have a lovely farmhouse. And it was funny how how is this woman going to get a farmhouse? How's she going to get a baby? How's she going to get a husband? And Christmas is coming. You're thinking, where? And then it all just magically
He works it all
fell
out
into
for her,
place.
right?
Yeah.
He saved her.
He saved her. But you know what's interesting to me is that every time someone walked into the farmhouse, they're like, oh, it's just like you wrote in your magazine article,
Mm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was wondering in my head, did he do that on purpose? Because it was his house. She hadn't ever been there
She
before.
had. She mentioned that that was what inspired her. Right.
Oh, yeah.
I
Yeah.
missed
Yeah.
that. No
It was a very
wonder
short
why.
line, and there's not a lot of
That makes sense.
definition of what their relationship is prior to the film. As I
Right.
mentioned earlier, the
Mhm.
house is even more strange because clearly it's somewhere way far away. It's in a small town. No one there knows her. But does he live in the town and just has this house that he keeps a stay-at-home housekeeper at that takes care of the babies? It's fully furnished, has seemingly endless amounts of guest rooms. It's totally not defined at all. But this is very much a writing Deus Ex Machina kind of thing of we just have to have this happen in order for there to be funny
Mm.
things.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
True, true. Okay, well, that brings us to the moral of the movie. Ideas on that? Character arcs,
I mean, we
moral.
kind of already mentioned it that Tucker brought up. When everyone stops talking and starts listening, they figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I think that for me is very clearly what the movie is going for because the two characters that end up changing the most by the end of the film are Elizabeth and then also the business magnate guy. He's the one who kind of is given the lecture of you need to shut up and listen sometimes. And they both are the ones that are the most aggressive with the way they're talking to people and not letting other people speak. And so it's the two of them that need to learn to sit down and listen occasionally.
Yeah, kind of like standing up to the bully, right? Getting in what you need to say at the end, and then everything works out instead of playing his game.
Exactly.
She ultimately does stand up to him and says, I don't need anything you have to offer. Remember that scene in the kitchen?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
that
you
was
wouldn't have
rather
had a
awesome.
movie if she would have initially said, we actually can't go to the farmhouse. I'm a writer. I'm a very talented writer, and I love them. This is resonating, but it's just writing. It's fiction.
Yeah.
Right.
That would have been the end.
That would have been the end.
A 6-minute movie.
But she lied.
Yes.
All right. Do we have any hot takes? Anyone here?
Not particularly.
I'm sure you
I don't either, really.
you always do. Come on.
I just messed with our guests as it started. I was like, I think this is a war movie, and their eyes got big because the first 90 seconds, it looks like it's going to be Saving Private Ryan or something, and it did not match up with the cover of the movie art.
Mhm.
So
I agree. I didn't really like the way they started the movie because I'm sitting down thinking I'm going to watch a nice Christmas film. And it was about them being stranded in the ocean. And it felt more like a war.
but they had to set the scene.
They
Yeah.
Did they need to do that? Because he could have just came in as the war veteran that needed help. I mean, I don't know that we totally needed that.
I know that one of our very high-ranked films, also of this era, but just a little later, starts in a war scene. Do y'all know which one that is? They become lifelong buddies, kind of like these two guys, except in this case, one of them married the other guy's fiance.
Mm.
Yeah, we never saw him again either
Yeah,
we never saw his buddy again.
True.
we didn't need to.
No.
We never. Oh, but the nurse wound up marrying him.
Right.
That's
So he
true.
came back into the picture.
Right. He wasn't physically
Via
there,
her.
but by her. 'Cause
Yeah,
she
via her.
said that she had married. But again, I mean, did we even really need the nurse to? I mean, obviously it's funny, right? It's funny that she comes back and now
She
the
had to let him
joke
off the hook.
is kind of
Yeah.
turned on Elizabeth now, right? Because now he's supposedly engaged, and so now she's like, "What?" Feels betrayed, I guess, by
A
him.
little turnabout.
Yeah, exactly.
Almost every character enters the story in order to just create another frustrating wrinkle that annoys everyone else.
True.
And so both of those characters that you mentioned felt superfluous. I do tend to agree, but I think they are bookends to the movie. At a certain point, we all remarked as the nurse showed back up, "Oh, I forgot she was even in
Yeah,
this." I forgot that was a
definitely.
Exactly.
factor in any of it because she was so backgrounded. But the movie feels this need, whether this is necessary or not, to continually make things more and more complicated and annoy more and more people for more and more reasons.
And
True.
she was the catalyst to get him out to the farm.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think too, the more people, the more characters involved, the crazier it is, right? It's kind of like, "Ugh,
Mhm.
now we're dealing with this person, and now this person comes."
The writers had a lot to keep up with.
They had a lot to keep up with, and I mentioned in the beginning, I thought the pacing was good. You know, some movies seem to drag on and on and on, and but I just thought there was always something, whether it was going in a door, coming out a door, that timing, or there were so many little arcs,
Or a cow putting its head in the door.
or a cow, a cow putting his head in the door.
I agree. The pacing was good.
Yeah.
It didn't tend to lag at all.
It was a quick hour and 41 minutes.
I thought so.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll move on to the parent guide, which there isn't one. Back then, they didn't really have one. So it was just either approved or
Not
not
approved.
approved. And this one is approved. And I agree that it should be approved, even though it did feel a little racy for its time.
Tucker, would you be comfortable watching this film with your parents?
Already done.
Okay.
We
Great.
need to preface mother-son
Yes.
guests here today.
That's right.
Well, it's interesting because I was thinking about it through the lens of would this be interesting to show to children? And I don't think it really would. I think that there's enough silly, goofy characters to where they might be engaged for some of the scenes, but all of it is a romance plot at the end of the day.
Mhm.
And all of the conflict comes from how do you feel about other people being married? What are the social pressures that comes with being engaged, with it being a woman in the 40s? And do you need a man in your life? These aren't things that a 6-year-old are going to find entertaining at all. And there's not even children characters in it. There's not Santa Claus in it. There are none of the traditional
Mm.
Christmas childhood hallmarks that would make it engaging for a child to watch. And so I think this would be they would get easily very bored, especially a modern child who
Oh, yeah.
has a different sense of entertainment.
Under 20 would only be someone who's interested in purely films
Yeah.
and filmmaking. But besides that, these themes won't really catch with a young child.
No, and
No.
plus they're lying. They're, they're supposed to be engaged and they're obviously not being true to their intended. And, there were all kinds of things that they weren't setting very many good examples as a mother.
Sure.
Okay. On to the soundtrack. So we have Jingle Bells, just instrumental, uncredited. We also have the bridal chorus from The Wedding March by Wagner, which is when they were about to get married. And the developer, the home builder, he has a record and puts it on the record player for everyone to hear. And then O Little Town of Bethlehem, sung by Dennis Morgan. And he did a good job with that. Definitely got the attention of Elizabeth.
Yeah, I found it interesting when he did put on the wedding march. Normally we hear that as the bride walks down the aisle, but there was no walking down the aisle. They were getting ready to start the ceremony and just the music's playing.
Yeah.
A little different, right?
Mhm.
But it was definitely a different wedding too.
She wanted something more hip like Mozart, is what she said.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was surprised by that request. Anything but reminding me that I'm about to get married.
Right. To someone who I
Good point.
No
Don't
gown,
love.
no
I
music.
don't
I don't love you. I told you I don't love you.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered together in the sight. Wait a minute. Excuse me, please. A wedding with no music, that's impossible.
You're quite right. I have here a record of the wedding march, especially for the occasion. Remember, dear? Details?
But, John, couldn't we have Mozart or...
No, darling, no. The wedding march is the conventional thing. Proceed, Judge.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered together in the company already.
Oh, John is the sailor. He's 2 hours early. What do we do?
Come on, it's a rather peculiar situation, Judge. I'm afraid we'll have to postpone the ceremony.
Take him into the other room.
Yes.
No.
And Sydney, you had mentioned during the film that you liked just the background score.
It's just so of that period, and I stopped listening to it just to get and focus on the dialogue. But when I do hear it, it's almost kind of a loop. There's never really any. Was it constantly throughout the whole movie? Was there ever silence, or in that era they always had music?
It seems like if two or more people were talking, it would go away. And then when it got quieter, it would kind of
Mhm.
walking around, and we had a lot of sound effects.
Mhm.
Like when she was flipping the
Pancakes.
pancakes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Sydney, rating this film 1 to 5, what would you rate it and why?
And Letterboxd is 3.6.
I would say I'd give it a healthy 3.
Hmm.
Yeah. Maybe I don't know. I do little above 3 maybe. I enjoyed it. I really did. And now that we've had this discussion, there's lots of other things to think about, and when I watch it again, I would have a different perspective perhaps, but yeah, I thought the acting overall was great.
Hmm.
I loved the set design. I didn't think it was a Christmas movie, but like you were saying, that's a movie that every Christmas now it'll just keep playing. But yeah, overall I'd say 3.2.
Okay.
Right.
3.3.
3.2. 3.3. Okay, 3.3. And Tucker, where are you going with this one?
I'm going to say 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this movie. I think that it fits into a lot of my sensibilities as a comedy film enjoyer, which is primarily an ensemble cast of people that don't trust one another. And that is something this movie is very good at. It's having lots of people in every single frame. And a strength this movie has is every character's motivation is very clear. You know their dynamic with every person. If they're in a room together, you remember why they like or dislike each other, what they're hiding from one another. And that's something I find very, very compelling, especially about these older screwball comedies that have an ensemble cast. And for a Christmas film, I found that to be very surprising because looking at the cover, Christmas in Connecticut, I thought I knew what this movie was going to be, and I was pleasantly surprised that it was something that I preferred a lot more than I was anticipating. So, big surprise for me, and I will thoroughly recommend it.
Great.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I'm battling with either 3.5 or or 3.3, just a little under that. I enjoyed the movie as well. It was full of surprises for me as well. I liked that the pacing was good. I didn't feel like at any point that I was like, okay, when's this going to be over? It kept me entertained the entire time. So maybe I'll go with 3.4.
3.4. All right, you talked yourself into that one.
I did.
And I'm going to bump it a little bit. I'm not going to quite go where Tucker is at 4, but I'm going to go 3.8. I think 3.6. I see why it's a 3.6. That's a good score. And when you look at the other films in this list and where they fall, 3.6 is a real good score. And I feel like it's justified on the part of the Letterboxd folks. So 3.8.
So we kind of touched on it earlier, who we definitely wouldn't recommend this movie to, the young ones. But Sydney, who would you recommend it to, if anyone? Who would it be?
A fan of oldies,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah.
I love the black and white genre, if that is in fact a genre. It's not, but yeah, I mean, anybody looking for because I didn't know anything about it, so that was a surprise. I would definitely recommend it. Hey, you're looking for a new Christmas movie? I mean, everyone's seen all the new ones dozens of times, so
Right.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you, Tucker, what are you thinking?
I'd love to watch this with my grandmother. I think that the energy and the old style would really appeal to her sensibilities, and it'd be a lot harder to recommend it, I think, to most people that are younger, that are not as familiar with Barbara Stanwyck or screwball comedies. So I think it's going to become increasingly harder and harder to recommend to people, especially because it isn't an iconic movie. Even as someone who is very much into film history, I'd never heard of it, but it was one that I was pleasantly surprised by, and so if I especially am talking to someone that I know loves film, I can say maybe an underrated Christmas classic in a way that you might not have heard of before, and it might subvert your expectations a little bit, but it's a very fun time.
Yeah, I agree with Tucker. And I think who I would definitely recommend this, but she's probably already seen it, would be your grandmother, Tim.
Sure.
I think she would love it and it would be fun, but I'm sure she probably has seen this film before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
She has.
So anyone of that era, I think would like it. It definitely needs to be someone who is older, or if they're younger, they have to have an appreciation for films to sit through this.
Okay. And I'm going to say I would recommend it to anyone who lives in the city and would like to get out to the country for the holidays. Gives you a feel for a little bit of farm life, a change of pace. Also, anyone who's really into culinary arts or real foodies, because they delve into some creative dishes. So I know that people who watch like Top Shelf and all that, when they see any kind of recipes in movies, they get all excited. So I'm going to go with them. But in addition to the folks you all recommended.
All right. I don't know what true picture of farm life it sets, but we'll go
That
with
was a
it.
little in jest.
We'll go with it. Sydney, what is your favorite holiday film?
I love The Holiday. I've seen it 1,000 times,
Mhm.
but I do love the oldies too. I love White Christmas and Miracle on 34th Street. I've seen Elf so many times, I could recite every line, but I don't know. I'm loving The Holiday right now.
The Holiday.
The Holiday.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
your
good one.
stranded on a desert island holiday film.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you, Tucker, what's your favorite holiday film?
Mine would be A Christmas Story. I think that movie has so many fun moments and iconic bits and funny lines that is still very watchable for anyone of any age demographic today. I think that it definitely captures a sense of Christmas because it delves a lot more into the traditions, but then also making fun of them and gift giving and the winter season. So I love watching that movie.
I knew you were going to say that. It's got the beats, right? Of what you're looking for. I just hearing you speak about films before and then watching this with you, I kind of saw that one coming. If it wasn't It's a Wonderful Life, it was going to be
Sure.
A Christmas Story.
All right. So, Sydney, is there any business or socials that you would like to promote?
Oh, I would love to. As I'm not a set decorator anymore, I am a designer. I design jewelry and I have my own line. It's called Ross and James Jewelry. Online, ROSSEANDJAMES.com. And Instagram is Ross underscore
Mm-hmm.
and AND underscore James. I design it myself, fabricate, and just developing an online presence in addition to selling in store. So everyone take a look. For Christmas, it makes great Christmas gifts.
Excellent.
Awesome. We'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah, and I'll list that below in the show notes for the episode.
Yay.
And Tucker, is there anything you'd like to promote?
If you like movie reviews, I do quite a bit of those. I have a YouTube channel called Backlog Banter, where I have done reviews of every single Best Picture winner. I'm working on reviewing all of the Palme d'Or winners from the Cannes Film Festival, and I also do plenty of other movie reviews. So if you are interested in film reviews, you can go check that out. And especially if you're interested in Best Picture winners, you can look up The Quest for the Bestest on podcast services and on YouTube, and you'll find plenty of movie reviews to look at.
Tell them
Great.
how many.
Nearing on 500 movie reviews.
Wow,
There we
that's
go.
great.
Yeah, and I have listened to Quest for the Bestest. Actually, hanging and unhanging Christmas lights because we wrap these trees around here. And Tucker does a great job. I always agree with him more than the rest of the guys. Hey, sorry.
As you should.
Great. Check it out. Well, thank you for joining this discussion of our 26th rank film, Christmas in Connecticut. Please like, follow, and comment on this podcast.
Yes, please share and spread the word about Holiday Film Countdown. Thank you, Sydney and Tucker, for joining us. And thanks to all of our listeners. Next week, we're moving on to our 25th ranked holiday film, which will take us to the North Pole.